smooth, his sensation.
Hey everybody, welcome to California Bountiful. I'm your host, Tracy Sellers, and today we're spending the day in San Francisco, going around and seeing some of the best sights and sounds the city has to offer, including the Painted Ladies, those famous Victorian houses that are a huge tourist attraction in San Francisco. But let's not waste any more time and get to our first story.
At the Casa Sanchez restaurant in the Mission District of San Francisco, it's not hard to discover, or in this case, taste, their secret to success. It's equal amounts of talent, perseverance, and a rich family tradition that begins and ends with their passion for food. And that passion actually began way back in the 1920s when the Sanchez family first moved to San Francisco. And then later on in the 1950s, they opened up the area's first Mexicatessen, where they began delivering their homemade tortillas by the hundreds to eager customers.
It was the first tortilla factory in Northern California, over in the Fillmore district where the jazz district was. And then going along with everything, we had a jazz club / tortilla factory, which was kind of interesting. Then we came here to the Mission District and started selling salsa back in the 70s. Jimmy the Corn Man is that guy right here. And he was created back in the 70s when everybody was going to the moon. There was a whole man on the moon trend. So that's how we put him on a rocket ship, and people just love the people got tattoos. We did a promotion here at the restaurant where if you tattoo the logo, Jimmy the Corn Man, you get free lunch for life.
And from those humble beginnings to this, a thriving restaurant that is run by the next generation of the Sanchez family. Marta, her brother Bob, and nephew Robert look after the family business that continues to grow. In fact, because of the popularity of the restaurant, the family has been able to parlay their success in another way, into a line of products that is made at the Casa Sanchez headquarters in South San Francisco. They're making everything from chips to guacamole to tamales, and all are based on a steady supply of fresh California produce, like broccoli, corn, mushrooms, and cilantro. And just like their ancestors, the Sanchez family believes in everything being made from scratch with only the best ingredients.
Everybody has their own philosophy, and for us it's always been the quality. We've always never compromised on that. You know, some businesses are into selling a lot, some are into having the cheapest price. Our philosophy is having the happiest customer.
So this is actually the beginning of the process where the corn is cooked.
And while the tortillas and chips are a popular part of the business, the family's #1 seller is actually their salsa, which is still made from the original family recipe that utilizes fresh California-grown tomatoes that are slow roasted to create an intense spicy flavor. Today, Casa Sanchez salsa is actually the #1 selling fresh salsa brand on store shelves in California. And again, it's not hard to taste why after you hear their family philosophy to making great food.
There are a couple of reasons. One is because of the quality. California does have the best produce. A second thing is we want to get it as soon as possible. And we're fortunate that our factory is literally half an hour away from some of the best farms in the state. So it works for us. And we still handpick a lot of the ingredients, so we like to see exactly what we're getting. We like to get to know who we're getting it from, and we're very involved from beginning to end of our product.
And they don't have to look far to find their most prized ingredient in their family's salsa recipe. All of the tomatoes for their homemade salsa come from live oak farms in the Central Valley. And just like the Sanchez family, the Giampoli family is part of a multi-generational family business. Brother and sister team Bob and Donna run the family farm that was started way back in 1929 by a live oak tree. And that is still the location the family calls headquarters for the farm, which has evolved quite a bit over the years, growing and packing several different crops. But their biggest seller remains tomatoes. And you may notice harvest looks a little different here than other tomato harvests. You see, before they end up being the bright red tomatoes that Casa Sanchez uses, tomatoes here are actually harvested when they're green. And while it may seem a little weird to be harvesting tomatoes when they're green and not red, there is a reason why they're picked at that color.
We try to pick all our fruit at the mature green stage. They get picked in a buckets, loaded into our gondolas, and taken to our packing shed for packing.
This product was packed 5 days ago, and it was green. And it's going to El Paso, but the particular customer wants a lot of color, so I'll set this load at 54 degrees and just let it ride, and it should be full red by the time it gets to El Paso.
And with control over the ripening factor, the farm can practically custom harvest tomatoes depending on how ripe the end user, like Casa Sanchez, wants them. After the tomatoes are harvested, they're trucked into headquarters where they are double washed and then meticulously sorted by workers who are looking for top quality, size, and green color. During the peak season, they're harvesting and processing nearly 700,000 pounds of tomatoes a day here for customers all across the United States. 2 families, 2 long histories in the world of food, and 1 connection. And just like the vines on a tomato plant, they're interlaced in a special way that they hope others can savor as well.
I enjoy the people in the industry. They're very sincere, they're very genuine.
And it all works. We try to make, it does work.
It looks like there's another generation coming behind us, so there should be somebody there to keep going.
I'm Christy Vega Fowler, and today we're going to be making our classic Casa Vega guacamole. So first we'll start by cutting open 3 big Hass California avocados. So we'll start at the top and cut around, and then we'll open it up. We'll remove our seed, and from here we'll just scoop out the flesh of the avocado. And if you can, really try to get the Hass avocados. They are by far much better and more flavorful than the other avocados on the market. And we always use California ones because they taste so much better. And from this, we'll add 1 jalapeno, and that's to taste. Sometimes people like it more spicy than others. And we're gonna add our cilantro, which is about basically just 1 bunch of cilantro. We like a lot. And then we have a little bit of garlic powder, just to give it some flavor. About a teaspoon. And about another teaspoon of salt. And again, all this is to taste. And what's nice is you can make it to how you like it. Maybe you like it a little more salty, or you're watching your salt intake and you want to make it a little less. So it's really kind of up to you. And last, we're going to squeeze in the juice of a half a lime, or again, you can do a whole lime. It depends how much you like that sort of citrus, acidy flavor to it. So I'm going to do a half a lime. So we're just going to mash it really quick. I love this avocado masher. It's much easier than a fork. So pick one up at your grocery store, and we'll mix one more time. And this time I just use a normal spoon because I don't want to mash it too much. I like it a little on the chunky side, so you can really get those nice hunks of avocado on your chips. And there we have the classic guacamole.
And stay with us, there's more California Bountiful coming up.
Closed captioning of California Bountiful is provided by Agriculture Liquid Fertilizers. Producing better crops with better fertilizers, it's better for California.
So farm to fork means maybe mixed greens and potatoes right now, and in a month it's going to mean asparagus, and a month after that it'll mean strawberries, and then apricots, and then peaches and nectarines, and then apples and pears will come, and then it'll be time for winter squash.
Hi, my name is John Ledbetter. I work at Boca Nova Restaurant in Jack London Square, Oakland, California. I love cooking with simple ingredients, seasonal ingredients. I like using the right things at the right times, and I like to do 10 ingredients or less, preferably always. What we do in this business is we highlight food. And you can't highlight food unless you're using the best of what you can get. And if you can't do that, you should either try to do it or you should go do something else.
So you think counting sheep is only for insomniacs? Well, think again. One farming family has turned counting sheep into a full-time career. And along the way, they've changed the way we think of artisan cheese, one sheep at a time.
Call it karma, fate, or maybe it was just old-fashioned good luck. But whatever the reason, the way that Bellwether Farms came to be one of the most successful artisan cheesemakers in the country is a perfect example of an old-fashioned success story.
It was one of those things that you didn't plan for. We definitely didn't have a business plan laid out, but we moved to the property in 1986 and from San Francisco with no ag background at all.
You see, Liam's mom, Cindy Callahan, wasn't even thinking about cheese when she and her husband bought the property in Sonoma County back in the 1980s. This former nurse, lawyer, and real estate broker just wanted a rural retreat from their frenetic life in San Francisco. Then fate stepped in the form of a few sheep used to control their grass on their property. That and the realization that sheep were behind one of their favorite cheeses, Roquefort, gave them an idea for a unique new product.
And once we looked into it, we found that there were millions of pounds of sheep milk cheeses being imported into the U.S. then, and there were only 2 or 3 sheep dairies in the U.S. and they were, back one was in New York, another in Vermont, very far away, and we thought, let's look into this a little more seriously and see if it's something that we could do.
I tell people I finally figured out what I wanted to be when I grew up. I'm just sorry. I was in my 50s when it finally did happen.
In a perfect case of being at the right place at the right time, the Callahans capitalize on America's new trend of artisan cheeses. And today, the result of this family effort is cheese that is indicative of the pioneering effort going on in cheesemaking today. One of only 2 ovine dairies in the state, everything here is handmade right from sheep's milk that is literally a stone's throw away. Some of their favorites are a Tuscan-style cheese studded with peppercorns called papato, a hard cheese called San Andreas, named of course after the fault that lies beneath them, and an award-winning ricotta that is a byproduct of separating the curds and whey from the San Andreas cheese.
These are about 2 months old. The newer cheeses are back here, and you can see how white they are still. These are the youngest cheeses we have in here, and they were just made this week on Monday.
Today, the operation is still family-owned and operated, with Liam taking care of the cheese making and Cindy responsible for the lamb operation, with a little help from a couple of future cheesemakers, Liam's sons, Will and Connor.
Are you strong enough? Are you feeling strong today? Can you hold it?
He likes milk too.
Yes, it does.
You have this now. Wait,
When they're finished with the bottle, we're going to hang a bucket up. The best part of the job is working with the animals. When lambing season is over, I say, oh, thank God it's over again. But before you know it, I'm chomping at the bit. I'm getting anxious. I'm waiting for those first lambs to come again. So I really enjoy the animals more than any other part of it.
But with any family-run operation, the question has to be asked, who really is the boss around here?
Well, fortunately, it hasn't really come down to that, but I guess I am. I don't know. What did Liam say?
I wouldn't say. There are decisions that kind of fall to me. A lot of the business decisions do. I discuss them with her, I discuss them with my wife.
Together, these two, along with a handful of workers, raise roughly 1,200 lambs and produce more than 10,000 pounds of prize-winning Tuscan-style sheep's milk cheese a year, both of which are featured prominently on the menu at Santi, a rustic Italian-style restaurant right up the road in the heart of Healdsburg.
So we just did, spring is here, so we did a lot of things with Bellwether, and we incorporate different cheeses, and we made a few ravioli today. We did a fried artichoke antipasto with shaved pecorino. I like it, it's a little bit sweeter, sometimes it has a little bit more sharpness to it. That's what I enjoy. But the ricottas, it's so different from like a cow's milk. Just the texture and the sweetness. So.
And while it may be difficult to decipher between cows and sheep's milk at first, you can definitely taste the difference one family's commitment to quality can make. So while some might call it fate, an accident, or maybe just plain dumb luck, the Callahan family has a different answer to their all-American success story. They call it their destiny.
Well, you wonder if you finally wind up where you're supposed to be. I had a professor at Sarah Lawrence called Joseph Campbell. He was a professor of philosophy and poetry, and he said, follow your bliss. So by hook or by crook, I have found my bliss here, and I wouldn't want to be anyplace else.
Hi, it's Gail Peary at Foreign Cinema, and today we're going to bake some Brie. I've got a gorgeous French Brie here, but we've used California Bries all the time. This one has a great texture. You can choose your own. The method is the same. So I'm just putting a few slices in a little cazuela. You can use clay, metal, glass. And what we're going to do is just bake this together with some California pecans. I'm going to add a little bit of cream to this to help the melting factor. So while the Brie's in the oven, I thought I'd show you how to poach a few cranberries. Here at Foreign Cinema, we love the fruit component that adds a great acidulation to a lot of foods. For the cranberries, we've simply used 1 part water to 1 part vinegar. You can use your favorite vinegar, and we've used an aromatic cinnamon stick, and you just simply simmer them until they're full of liquid, and they add a great pickle quality with a fruit tone to any dish. Pork, vegetables, cheese in this case. Try it at home. You can use currants, raisins, cranberries, any dried fruit works. Apricots are great as well. Same method. Now at the restaurant we have a salamander, but at home you can do the same thing right in your oven at 400 degrees for about 6 or 7 minutes. What you're looking for is this beautiful sort of bronze color. That means it's ready to dip whatever you want. Today I chose my favorite produce that I'm in love with right now. I've got gorgeous radicchios from California that have a great bitter quality that are lovely with salty items, some beautiful California Braeburn apples, and my favorite are nuts. You can choose whatever nut you'd like. I have pecans for today, but almonds, hazelnuts, pecans, anything you like, you can use. We did poach a few cranberries in a little water and vinegar, and that gives it a nice acidulation. A couple of my nuts got a little bit overdone, but I think it's going to be delicious. This is a great party appetizer, ready to go. You can simply add your favorite items, and it's a baby fondue, if you will. Oh my goodness, that is so good.
Welcome to one of the largest and most unique farms in all of California. This is a place where literally everywhere you look, you see green. And while it may just look like grass to you and I, this place is proving that not all grass is created equal.
For Greg Dunn and his crew, mowing the lawn isn't a chore, it's a full-time job. That's because they're sod farmers at West Coast Turf in Stevenson, home to more than 300 acres of the top sod in the business. To say they have the best yard in the neighborhood, well, that would be an understatement. It's so good, in fact, it's been selected 7 times to supply the field for the biggest sporting event in the country, the Super Bowl. But to stay on top of the game does require more work than you might think. Between scheduling, dealing with Mother Nature, and harvesting, being a sod farmer is pretty busy work.
Yeah, one of my good friends growing up, I've been in this business over 20 years, and the joke is, so what do? Watch the grass grow? Yeah, you don't need to stop. I just had a question. How many more loads do we have yet to cut for Monster Park? 10-4. They are calling for some rain tonight. No 2 days are ever the same.
Here in California, Greg isn't the only farmer that has found success right under his feet. The Golden State leads all states in the total value of turf grass they produce and has more than 60 sod farms that take up nearly 15,000 acres. It takes about 4 to 6 months to grow great sod, and then the real work begins.
We've got 2 cutting heads cutting simultaneous, and there's a seam down the middle, and we're cutting 2 rolls 21 inches wide and being rolled simultaneously for an overall width of 42 inches or 3.5 feet.
In addition to the special sod, West Coast also offers special treatment too. The staff here not only takes pride in their harvesting, but they're installing too. They have round-the-clock crews that will come in and plant the grass day or night, no matter how big the job is.
And one of West Coast's biggest jobs happens every springtime here at the Oakland Coliseum, where for the past 8 years, the A's and Raiders have both depended on that special sod to give them a unique home field advantage.
Hi, my name is Clay Wood. Welcome to the McAfee Coliseum. Our field itself is about 2.5 acres, 120,000 square feet, somewhere in that neighborhood. We'll do that in a 3-day process.
Hey there, Clay, it's Greg. How you doing? Hey, did the crew get there? Super. All right, thank you, sir.
But it's not just athletes who enjoy some of the best sod around. Their grass can be found on golf courses, amusement parks, housing developments, and community parks all across the state. They carry 20 different varieties of turf grass, including California's most popular variety, appropriately named Super Bowl sod, which is available at several nurseries and garden centers. So now you can have your own Super Bowl field right at your own home, even if the pros don't.
Previously, my neighbors knew what business I was in and had a great looking lawn. And every time I was in my lawn, I spent a half an hour talking to my neighbors about how their lawns could look better. So I keep a real low profile on my profession at this point.
My wife gives me a hard time about it, but I say mow your yard as often as you can. Okay. You know, if it's once a week, that's fine. If it's twice a week or 3 times a week. And my wife says, how can you give that advice? You mow our yard once a month at home, but.
Well, that's going to do it for the show today. If you have questions about any of the stories you've seen or would like any of those recipes we've had on the show, then be sure to check out our website at californiabountiful.com. And if you get a second, go to our Facebook page too. We'd love to hear what you think about the show. We'll see you again next week on California Bountiful.
Children up and down my spine again.